Welcome to Hero's Journey PhysioFitness. Our mission is to empower, inspire, and mentor people to reclaim their health and become self-reliant in their fitness. I'm your host, Dr. Cameron Hogue. Join with me as my co-host, Annabelle Rios.
Okay, Doc, we are going live in 3, 2, 1.
Let's go.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Hero's Journey. We just want to let you know this is the last one in the Hero's Journey guide. We're titling this one "Self-Sufficient." We don't like doing this. You hate it when you see it, but please like and subscribe to our podcast. Leave some comments. Essentially, you're gonna help us to grow our brand, our social media. You're feeding the algorithm. You're feeding the beast.
You're feeding the beast. So yeah. Give it whatever platform you listen on, give it a like, give it a rating, give it a comment. It just will help others find us. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, we're going to have more posts on lifting and rehabs tips. We are coming out with an ebook soon. Very soon.
Ebook coming out soon. And yeah, social medias and YouTube. I don't know if YouTube is considered social media. I guess it is. But follow us there. And as Annabelle said, we'll have more tips and tricks for lifting and rehab and all that kind of stuff. So give us a follow. So we have been going through all these steps, and this is our last one on it, and then we'll get into some other things. But we're hoping by this point everyone should have a basic understanding of a few things. If you feel like you don't have this type of understanding, go back, re-listen. Give us some more views.
Yeah.
But, at this point, if someone asks you what is health, I think you should be able to give them an understanding, a good definition. If someone asks you what is fitness, if someone asked you what is metabolic syndrome, we had an episode on why mindset matters. So go check that one out. And also in that episode, we had some 5 rules to kind of keep you on the path, to keep that right mindset. At this point, you should have a very, very, very basic understanding of the body. When we talked about tissue, because that helps with knowing how to build tissue, healing tissue. And big takeaway is protein is the building block of muscle tissue and the body tissue. You should kind of understand training versus exercise. You should have an understanding of why you need to log and, write down your workouts. You should be able to set up your first 3 months of training. At this point, you should know the basic understandings on how to progress to see results and change in your body and change in your health. And now you should know kind of what to do with an acute onset of pain, no matter where that is.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you feel like you don't understand those things, go back, listen, look some stuff up. But
check out the ebook.
Check out the ebook. Man, we're doing lots of plugs for our stuff. We're learning.
This is brought to you by Hero's Journey.
What have we not covered? So there's a lot of things we have. There are some things that we have not. One of the big things is kind of specifics. We haven't really gone too in the weeds on some specific things like which exercises to select when you work out, how many reps, how many sets, which form of cardio to choose. We haven't
Equipment.
We haven't really discussed specifics, and there's kind of a reason for that, and it's because everyone is different. People need different things, and a lot of times when you come out with definitive statements, people go, "Yeah, but it doesn't really," and it's like we understand.
It doesn't fit It doesn't fit me. It's like, well, it's general guidelines. There's always an exception.
There's always an exception. Don't let the exceptions become the rule.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that being said, we do kind of want to throw in some more maybe gems, little nuggets here, some general recommendations that can help you become more self-sufficient in your training that we just hadn't been able to touch on. They didn't have anywhere to fit in, so we wanted to kind of rapid fire.
Yeah, and we still want to cover them because we feel that once we go over these and a few other things we're going to cover today, you're going to have everything in your toolbox to become self-sufficient and, in theory, go on this journey.
Yeah. So we're just going to kind of rapid fire go through some of these little gems here, some recommendations. We haven't really talked about rest and recovery, but, a big thing is getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep and then about 48 hours of rest between workouts for that body part. So like, don't hit chest every day. There's always exceptions. Some people can do that, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, and yes, we don't want to get into the nuance of saying, but in general, remember, these are all general recommendations.
Give yourself 48 hours of
48
recovery.
hours, yeah.
So if you're doing a full body, so you worked out your full body, legs, arms, back, everything, on Monday, don't do full body again on Tuesday. Give yourself a rest break and then come back on Wednesday, and that's about 48 hours of recovery. That allows your body to fully recover from the stimulus that you applied on Monday.
Yeah, for example, Monday's International Bench Day. Everybody knows that.
Everyone knows that.
You do your bench on Monday, and then Wednesday you hit squat. And then Friday you hit, I don't know, something else, Cam.
Yeah.
You get the idea.
Yeah. And also, one thing that gets way overlooked is rest from sports activities. I cannot tell you how many times in the clinic when I will see somebody who might have been playing pickleball, they're a once or twice a weeker in pickleball, and then they play in like a tournament or a round robin, like a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then they come in and are like, oh, my shoulder hurts or my hip hurts, and it's like, you just way overdid it. You did not give your body time to rest between these activities, and it's like doing 3 workouts in a row, hitting the same muscles with the same intensity, and
you're overusing it.
You're overusing it.
Yep.
You're going to have an overuse type of onset of pain. So take that into mind as well. A lot of times it's easy to think 48 hours between workouts. When I say workouts too, we're talking muscle groups, not just because you could work out arms one day and legs the next day. But don't sleep on and don't overlook recovery from sports. That's a big one.
No, definitely. And another one is start small and light and then build. Just because you could do it in the past doesn't mean you should. All
right. Say that again, Annabelle.
Just because he used to be able to do it in the past doesn't mean you should be doing it.
Yeah, just because you could doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Easy example is running. A lot of people are like,
okay.
oh, I used to run a mile, back in the day, and I'm going to try running again. You're going to give yourself shin splints. You're going to overwork that tibialis anterior. You might even kind of overwork your calves, something. So start small.
And I think with running, I can speak from experience. I've definitely gone out way too hard too soon. But it's just in the mindset, it feels a little bit different versus lifting weights. Let's say you squatted for 300 pounds and you haven't squatted 300 pounds in like a long, long time. Like, hey, I shouldn't start out with 3. But with running, I don't know why. Psychologically, like it's just running.
Yeah. Well, that's actually going to get later on. We have another gym on cardio and strength. So we'll get there in a second. Okay. So that'll make more sense. Another one is choose compound lifts over isolation lifts. If you don't know what this means, it means this is for resistance training, choose a lift that incorporates more muscles and or more joints moving than just like one muscle and one joint moving. So an easy thing is bicep curl would be an isolation lift. Chin-ups would be a compound movement because with chin-ups, you are hitting your biceps, but you're also hitting your lats and some rhomboids. Like you're getting more muscle, more joints moving. So that's a compound lift. Bicep curl being isolation.
Yeah, and I think we should definitely cover that in future episodes so we can
go a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, more in depth.
This does not mean you don't do isolation lifts, but it's saying if you need to prioritize one versus the other, prioritize the compound lift.
Yeah, even in your programming.
Yeah. So I'm not saying don't do isolation, just choose that over that. And then if you have time or the energy, then put the isolation lifts in there.
Definitely. And then the next one we want to cover is choose free weights over machines. Machines just tie you down.
Yeah. I don't like to be contained. So yeah, choose like barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells over like one of those like hammer strength machines, even kind of cable column sometimes. Like it's better to do a barbell row with a barbell versus a cable row. But it's all good. It's just prioritize one over the other.
It's better than nothing.
It's
better than nothing.
And sometimes people feel more comfortable. Maybe they've never been in a gym before and they want to start with machines. Absolutely. Like start with things that you feel comfortable with, But again, these recommendations as you go along, oh, I see what they're saying. Maybe I should choose this over this. I'm going to get more bang for my buck. I can save time, all that kind of stuff. Another little gem here is do a dynamic warm-up, not passive stretching. So before you exercise, more and more research is coming out that passive stretching is just trash. Don't do it. So dynamic means you're doing something actively. You are jumping jacks. Maybe you're doing high knees. Maybe you're doing even just like some body weight squats or lunges or some push-ups. Just you're trying to get your body ready, whether that's heating up the tissue, getting your body ready to actually do some workout.
To perform whatever movement you're about to do.
Right. And so don't just sit there and stretch your hamstrings and stretch your quads before you squat. Like do some body weight squats, do some high knees, do some the karaokes, like do that kind of stuff, or even jump on a bike or a rower or an elliptical. Like get the body moving that way, not passive stretching. Don't do that.
No, definitely. And the next few, we're going to cover some different rep ranges and kind of explain what each one signifies. So the first one is strengths, which is 1 to 5 reps. It's just going to help to build your overall strengths when you're starting out. I think we've covered in the past is stick to about 3 sets, and then obviously stick to 1 to 5 rep range when you're first lifting.
Yeah, and when we say 1 to 5 rep range, we're not just saying, grab a dumbbell that's super light and do it for 5 reps and then set it down, and that's going to build strength. Like what we're saying is within 1 to 5 reps, you can't do anymore. Like you might have a rep or 2 left in the tank, but by that 5th rep, you're like, I don't think I would have got it up again. Like I probably should have stopped at 4 or maybe stopped at 3. That's what we're talking about with the rep range.
Good
like
point.
The weights will be heavier. The weights will not be lighter. So just because you do 5 reps of something, but it was easy, that doesn't mean you're going to gain strength. You got to be able to almost fail within that 1 to 5 rep range.
No, very good point.
So we actually, just this morning we had one of our clients, Spencer, he was squatting. He was squatting 245 as a PR, and he got 2 reps, and on the 3rd rep he couldn't get. So like he literally failed within the 1 to 5 rep range. So he was definitely training strength. Because the next rep range is 6 to 12, 6 to 15, somewhere in there. And that's kind of more of your classic, what we call hypertrophy rep range. A lot of bodybuilders use that rep range. You're basically just increasing the reps, and the weight will have to be a little lighter. You're trying to fail, quote unquote,
but in a different way.
But a different way. Like it won't be as heavy, but you're going to really feel probably more of a burn.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the one where you're like, it's going to get really uncomfortable. And you're going to want to like quit around that 6 to 12 rep range with that.
Yeah. And that was not fun.
Yeah. That one, like and it's good to switch these up.
Yes.
Because if you were so used to lifting in the 1 to 5 and then you switch to 6 to 12, you're going to think you just got murdered.
Yep.
And then like same if you keep working in the 6 to 12 and then you actually go heavy, you're going to be like, holy smokes, this is a different kind of hard.
Yeah.
You won't get that burn feeling as much, but the weight is heavy. That being said, they found in research, all rep ranges will build muscle. They're just slightly different. And it's good to cycle through and kind of mix up your rep ranges.
And then the last one, which is endurance, is 15 plus rep range. I avoid these.
These are also hard too. And this should be
hard.
the weight should be a lot lighter.
Very light.
Because what you're doing is you're trying to build up. So this could be more for like body weight things, like people who know a lot of push-ups, body weight squats, calisthenics. But also sometimes you just want to like milk out some more reps and kind of, because this one will definitely give you what's called the pump, where your muscles fill with blood, and a lot of people like the feeling.
Always chasing the pump.
But the 15 rep range is definitely going to build up a little bit more of muscular endurance than it will like muscular strength.
Mm-hmm.
But all rep ranges will hit hypertrophy to some degree, with the 6 to 12 rep range being looked at as being the most plausible for hypertrophy.
Yeah, and I guess the way easy way to think about it, strength, it's heavy. Hypertrophy is a little bit more medium, and then endurance is a lot lighter weight.
I think that's a great way of looking at it. Heavy, light, medium, or heavy, medium, light.
Heavy, medium, light. There we go.
Man, I was going back to some powerlifting programming there. So the next thing is, for most beginners, just do 3 sets. Don't get crazy here. Don't be doing 4 to 5 sets. Don't be doing drop sets and giant sets and
supersets.
And super, like, just stick with 3 sets for most exercises. Like, and you should be doing that for a while, year, 2 years. Like, don't go crazy with things. Keep it simple. Keep it with 3. Some might be even 2 sets, 2 to 3 sets, somewhere in there.
No, definitely. Yeah, you want to keep it simple. And then after a while, you're going to have to get more sets in for that specific lift, or if you're targeting a body part. And that's when we get into the more intermediate to advanced, where you want to do 3 to 5 sets for the lift.
Yeah, and we covered it in progressive overload a little bit, talking about how you can increase sets. But this would be the time where you would potentially want to do that, where if you are been working out for a while, maybe you want to start exploring in that 4, 5 set range at that point. But beginners, just stick with 3. Keep it simple. Another little kind of gem/nugget here is you will always gain cardiovascular endurance way faster than you will increase muscular strength or hypertrophy. Like, always. Cardio is the easiest to gain. It's also kind of the easiest to lose. Strength is harder to gain, and you still will lose it, but it's harder to lose.
Which I'm glad we said that. I don't know about you, but sometimes the bro talk in the gym, you feel like the moment you start working out, meaning lifting weights, the moment you start lifting weights, you're like, my muscles start perishing. I'm getting weaker already, but
they're sagging.
Quick, somebody hand me a protein shake.
Yeah, no.
But it's actually encouraging. Like, no, you're not going to lose it that fast.
Right. Like, if you go on a week vacation and after a week and you come back, you could maybe even do a week or 2 on vacation and come back, and the weights they might feel a little heavy, but you'll probably be able to still do the same weights.
Yeah.
Same reps, same sets. But you go on a 2-week from cardio, that mile or 2 is going to be a little bit more challenging when you first start back. But it's also easier to gain. So it can take years to build up, put 100 pounds on some of your lifts, and it could take a month to be able to run 2 or 3 miles if you train.
Yeah.
So think about that as you kind of progress through and become more self-sufficient. The next one, this was actually from one of my professors in PT school. He had this. We made fun of him at the time, but it's actually the further I've gotten out, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is genius.
You're like words of wisdom.
He said, "How you train is how you gain." I know. It seems really simple.
Cheesy.
It seems cheesy, but it's like, hey, if you want to get better at running, run. If you want to get better at bench. If you want to get better at pickleball, play pickleball. Because how you train is how you're going to gain, whether that's strength or a skill set, whatever it is. Do the thing you want to get better at. Don't beat around the bush.
We're all about getting you moving and getting you on the path and staying on the path.
That's right. And then the last thing kind of ties back into that cardio and strength training is, if you don't use it, you lose it. So that's just, I wish we could just, work out for a year and then just never have to work out again, and you kind of keep all the benefits.
Yeah, and like we said, strength is harder to lose. Doesn't mean you cannot lose it.
Good point.
Especially if you take a few years off, your numbers are going to go down.
They're gonna, and so will your muscles.
Mm-hmm.
So those are kind of just some of our little gems, recommendations that we hadn't been able to put into the old
into the guide
so far. But to kind of get into the last little part here on helping people become self-sufficient, we're terming it the Threefold Path.
Threefold Path.
Dun 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 dun.
Sound like the Lord of the Rings.
I know. We almost thought it was like Buddhism, but I think that's the threefold way. But I don't know.
You don't know.
Threefold Path. So Annabelle and I were talking and discussing what are the different ways that as you go along in your journey, what are the ways you can go? And one of the paths that we kind of came up with that you can take is you can set new goals.
Yeah, that's, for instance, we'll see what happens. Because remember we said you have to be open to whatever might happen. But I'm going to try to hit 405 here in about a month.
On deadlift.
On deadlift, yeah. Not on bench.
Yeah, so like his first goal was 225.
Yeah,
and
so
then
I've been
250.
progressing. After I hit it, I'm going to set a new goal. I don't know what it's going to be yet.
Yeah.
To be determined, but that's kind of what you're doing. You're going to set a goal. This is obviously the first pass. You have your goal of a number on the bar. You hit it, and then you reevaluate, set a new number.
Yeah.
Very straightforward.
A lot of people do this with running. They're like, my goal is I want to train for a 5K. And then a lot of times after they hit a 5K, like, a lot of times people stop and they're like, I'm not doing this again.
So like, yeah, I hate running.
I hate running. I hate exercise. But a lot of times what the right mindset would be is to set a new goal. Well, let me try for a half marathon. And then, let me try for a marathon, where you're just always trying to set new goals, and that's going to help keep you kind of on the path.
Yeah, or it could be, if we're running, time. I want to improve on my time.
Yeah. Your mile time.
Your
Like
mile
a lot of
time,
a lot of people have a goal to get under like a 6-minute mile, whatever that might be.
Mm-hmm.
And this doesn't just have to be with weights or with running. This could be like, I want to set a new goal. I lost 20 pounds. Now my new goal this next 6 months is to lose 10 pounds. And you're just constantly setting a new goal. Or after I lose that 10 pounds, then I want to keep that same weight but build some more muscle. And then I want my, waist circumference to stay this, but my chest circumference to be this. So you're just always trying to set new goals. This can be a little, I don't want to say challenging, but some people, after they hit a goal, then they just stop. And we're not trying to say you hit the goal and you stop. We're trying to say after that, set something new. And it could be something, could be a different lift. It could be,
Yeah, and I mean, it could be hard because probably for a long time you had your eyes set on this goal.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you hit it, you're like, well, I did the thing. Now what do I do?
Right. I mean, so this is actually going to be a good segue here because I had trained for, I think 10 to 12 months, all endurance based. Like I was only biking and I was only running, and I had ran a half marathon, and then I had ran a full marathon. And after the marathon, I set no new goals for running anymore, but I went into what we're calling the second.
You had a change of direction.
That's right. So our second path you could take is you can change direction, which, I mean, a lot of times can keep things fun, can keep things interesting. This is a little different than just setting a new goal because we're talking about almost changing from one of the buckets, those 4 buckets that we talked about, like sport, cardio, mobility, resistance training. I went completely from all cardio to powerlifting. I went to just straight barbell lifting. And
now he trusts not to even walk because it's too much cardio.
I know. I'm like, I need one of those little scooter things.
Yeah.
Which apparently those caught on fire a while back.
Did they really?
I think so. Anyway, yeah. So we're just changing directions. Maybe you're a biker, and then you want to do running or triathlon. So it's similar, but you're just changing the path a little bit. Bodybuilding to strongman.
Yeah, and I guess we always want to encourage everybody to do a little bit of all of the different buckets.
Right.
It just might mean that, I don't know, you have 100% overall, and then you spread across the buckets, and maybe one has 50 or 60%, and the other ones have a lot less.
Right.
So that's kind of what we're talking about.
We did give you the 3-2-1 principle, which it pretty much can incorporate all of the different buckets. But yeah, and don't use the change of direction where you change something every 4 weeks, like, because then you'll never be able to
keep the muscles guessing, right?
I know, like don't train running for a month and then completely switch and stop that and train. Like, this is when we're saying change directions, we're saying like also keeping in mind the progressive overload principles and trying to then, once you change directions, you can set those goals, and then once you hit those goals, then you can evaluate to see if you want to set new goals or if you want to change directions again. But this isn't just like you do something for 4 weeks. This is like you're keeping this going.
Yeah, I mean, you're keeping your log and you have your plan.
Right.
And you're following. That's what we're saying here. And then once you hit the end of your plan or your goal, that's when you reevaluate the situation. You ran your marathon. Okay, now what do I want to do next?
And doesn't mean I won't do another marathon in the future. It just means right now because got a little tired of that, but I still like to train. So what else can I do? Well, I changed to powerlifting.
Yeah, and some of these goals are, that's the thing that we were talking about. This shouldn't be a 2-month goal. I mean, it may be, but a lot of these are bigger goals.
Right.
You know, that you're setting that's going to be a year, 2 years, maybe even 3 years to hit.
Yeah.
And then you break down your goals and you work backwards. But essentially, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, this could also be for sport too. Like, I don't know if we have any like high schoolers listening or anything, but like for me back in the day, it was all sport. It was all baseball. Like all the other types of training kind of were out the window. You know, we did it some because of our sport, but like my whole thing was to play college baseball. So that was the goal. You know, that's what I wanted to do. And so I put all my time and energy into training sport, baseball in this instance, to be able to play college baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Once I got there and I was like, well, I think I'm going to change directions because, you know, like it wasn't, you know, anyway, but it can also be applied to sport as well, not just cardio resistance training.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we talked about eating too. It applies to everything. And then at some point in life, when you're busy, your goal is going to be to maintain.
Yeah. I mean,
which is our third one, by the way.
The third one, like it's harder to gain than to maintain. Like it's once you get to a certain spot, it takes a lot less to maintain things. And like as Animal said, like what if you're starting a new business or you just had a child or a change of job, like something
moving, change jobs.
Yeah. Like where you just like this, I just need to, you know, work out twice a week just to maintain what I have. And I'm not setting new goals. I'm not changing directions, but I'm also not quitting. I'm not stopping. I'm still.
You're not progressing and you're not regressing.
You're just staying the same. And we, for this part of the path, you know, if you get to this point, let's just say you have like the body of your dreams and your health is on point, like sure, maintain. Like I'm not telling you not to maintain, but it is always good to keep seeking that edge, kind of that next level, because as we talked about earlier, like there's going to come a decline, like a decline in our muscle mass, a decline in our health. And you want to just give every advantage you have before that starts happening. So, it's not, like Animal said, not progressing, not regressing. And we did come up with a twice a week. Like if you can do something twice a week, running, biking, lifting weights, like you should be able to maintain pretty much all of what you had gained at that point. So maybe shoot for twice a week if you're just trying to maintain.
No, definitely. Think twice a week's doable. You know, when you look at the hours that we told you,
go back to that thought experiment. Man, we're really trying to get people to go back and listen. I know. Let's go.
Ebook coming out soon. Brought to you by Hero's Journey. But seriously, you look at your hours in your week, you make your schedule, and you can find 2 days a week.
For sure.
It's doable.
For sure. So those are what we're terming the threefold path. You can set new goals, you can change directions, or you can maintain. But yeah, do you have anything else, Annabelle?
No, I don't have any other closing thoughts. Do you?
No, just before we head out, just remember you are human. We shouldn't seek perfection, but daily improvements.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.